Welcome to a new episode of the Movieslingers starring
Nuan.
and Denul. And today we decide we're going to talk about what's a
An
movie?
old favorite, right?
Yeah.
A classic, a Spielberg classic from the 90s.
Mm-hmm. It's
Jurassic.
about
Yeah.
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
I didn't know you were going to tease that. So the dinosaur movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park. So
Yeah.
wow, it's been 30 years since it came out. So I remember one of the first movies I watched at the movie theater was probably this. This may have been the first one.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I know my parents took me. I remember that it was at Liberty Theater, right? And I remember they dressed it up with like trees and foliage and stuff to make it look like a park.
Oh, okay.
So I remember that. I remember the decorations. And I watched it. That was the first time. And then I think, and I watched it for it may have been the 20th anniversary. They re-released it in 3D.
Oh, okay.
I watched that one. That was the second time. And then last year, when they had that Jurassic World Dominion double feature, I thought, my last chance to watch Jurassic Park. And I went to watch that. And now I feel bad because now, I wish I could have just watched just that movie. I didn't care about Dominion.
You know, when the double feature came up,
Yeah.
I didn't want to go for it because they were anyways gonna show the new movie, and I wasn't really excited about the new movie.
Right.
Because the previous films that I watched from Jurassic Park were really bad. They were just like the concepts went through your head. But my first time watching Jurassic Park, I saw it on cable. I think it was on HBO.
It was always on these TV channels and I remember we had like a VHS. Oh, actually, it wasn't ours. It was like friends and then we used to watch it all the time. So this is like
it's like one of those films. And actually, when the 30th year anniversary came up, I went to Scope with a couple of my office colleagues, including my boss, and that was, I think, all of our first. It's like kind of like our first time watching Jurassic Park on a film hall. I think everyone was pretty happy. They were like, "Wow, it's bigger, it's better," and the shots were amazing.
It's still great. It's still amazing,
it's
right?
Still it's. I think it's like those timeless classics.
Yeah.
Like even generations later, people will look at it and be like.
And I feel like it's gotten better in a way.
Yeah.
Because now I'm noticing more things about it.
Yes.
We'll get to it when we discuss the story and everything. But there were so many things that I never really noticed before that I noticed this time. But I mean, it was awesome to see it.
Yeah.
So okay, this is your first time watching this in the theater, right? So what was your? I think you should start with what did you?
Wow, how I felt about it.
Yeah, how you felt about it. Like what was the first big kind of wow moment?
Okay, so I realized because when I watched it as a kid, I don't think you really notice what is practical effects and what's the computer graphics.
Right.
And I kind of noticed that a lot, but then it wasn't off-putting or anything because I mean we all know this film was made a long time ago and this is the 30th year anniversary.
Some of the CGI now looks a bit old. But still
it's still good.
It's still good. Like for example, I think the T-Rex stuff in the dark, in the night scenes, still look good.
Yeah, they're still
the
really
the CGI there because it's hidden by the rain and the fog
and
the darkness. So they hid that well.
Yeah.
I think the first reveal kind of looks a bit old now.
Yeah, it looks a bit old, and the scene where the dinosaurs are far away and that whole thing. And,
when they're in the daylight, it's a bit more obvious.
Obvious, but. I like that they were also tricky at the same time. They didn't show all the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So that was pretty smart.
And they actually there's actually very few shots of CGI.
Yeah.
what I realized it's more practical than
even like
CGI.
there are some scenes of the T-Rex that are actually real, like the close-ups.
All the close-ups are real. It's that they had this big giant
head,
animatronic
head,
thing. Yeah. So similar to the Jaws shark. They had this big T-Rex that they had to move around, and I think it gave them a lot of trouble as well because it's raining and then, this thing doesn't work very well. And it's massive, right?
But I also like that because like it feels real.
Yeah.
It's not CGI.
Yeah, like when you see its eye open up.
And also like the rain actually coming in and the mud and like, the greenery and whatnot. It feels like, like you're like in this island sort of thing.
I mean, they are on a location. It's not like on a green screen. Most of the locations are, I think, in like this Hawaiian island.
I noticed
a lot of stuff gets shot there.
Because I noticed the greenery is very different.
There's a certain area where I think it's the field with the mountains in the background. I have seen like 10 other movies go to that same location. But it's a really nice location. And
also, I felt like I understood more about the concept of how they got the dinosaurs made.
All right.
Because when I was a kid, I don't think I really remembered it. So it's like now I understand
the
more
whole
about
DNA.
The DNA.
Where it comes from.
Yeah. That was kind of like interesting. Like how they get it from mosquito.
And even like all of that. I like how they deliver all of that exposition because they do it like with a ride. Where you have Hammond and the voiceover telling the audience as they are telling the guests. At Jurassic Park.
It feels like you're in a theme park, right? You are also sitting in this little presentation.
So it's actually very very similar, but it's delivered really well. Like you can understand it. Really
exactly.
Well.
It's very, very simple concept, and how they use frogs to like fill in the gaps, and
and how that's what causes the whole problem
right? In the first place.
I like how, I don't know if you noticed in the helicopter ride. There's this scene where Alan Grant is trying to get his seatbelt on.
Yes, and then he like.
So did you notice that the two seatbelts that he has are both female?
Yes.
So that's sort of like the theme, right?
Exactly.
So you can't connect two female connectors, but then he
ties it up.
So that's sort of like showing that
the
it's
DNA,
foreshadowing that it's gonna work out.
Life is.
So when I first heard about it, I was like, oh my god, because it feels like a joke, right? But then there's a deeper meaning behind it.
As a kid, I used to go through those kind of issues with seatbelts because like I think back then in cars and all, it's not like very firm.
Mix it up, right?
You always mix it up. Like even in the airport, like when you're going on an airplane, like when you're trying to buckle up, I always end up with either two
with the other person. With the other person.
I think that was a kind of very common problem.
It's a common problem. So you think it's just a joke, right? But then it has a meaning to it as well. And I love how Ian Malcolm's character throughout the whole movie. I mean, I was laughing throughout the entire screening, and I realized that. I mean, he's not the main character. He's just there to talk about the issues of genetic engineering and science and all that,
and chaos theory.
But he's so good in every scene. Like, and I think probably when I was a kid, I wasn't a fan of him as I am now. So now I just notice I notice every tiny little thing that Jeff Goldblum does. And it's amazing.
Amazing. Interestingly, like all the three main characters, including Jeff's, they've all been in like horror movies before doing this, I suppose. They've like Jeff Goldblum has been in The Fly. And the lady, what was her name? What was her name?
Laura Dern.
Yeah, she's been in like these David Lynch movies.
Right. And
like Alan
Grant's, what was his name?
And he's been in like in a few old...
he was in like...
I think there was some cult, some sort of like... I can't remember.
He was in like a Steven... It's like a Lovecraftian kind of a movie. I remember that movie. He was in that, and he was also in that space movie, Event Horizon. So he's
I feel like they've had that kind of background, and coming into this, I felt like, you know, because I feel like Jurassic Park has a very low-key horror.
It is a horror movie at times, right?
At a time, yeah.
When they are being attacked by the dinosaurs, it's pretty creepy. And I guess again, like, you know, the location helps. It's not like a fake location. Most of it is in real places, and they're using animatronics which look really good.
And they use like actual vehicles, like I noticed that there was some Ford SUVs used. They low-key kind of showed it, but then they didn't show it. I was like, oh, that's a Ford. But I actually like them. They actually look kind of cool. You know, like.
I mean the cast is really good. Like all of them. I mean, I every time I forget that Samuel L. Jackson is in the movie until we get to the scene where they enter the command center. I'm like, oh yeah, he's in this.
And he's like he's a hack. He's like a IT kind of.
He's like the head of operations.
Okay. But he has some sort of IT knowledge too,
he
right?
has an IT knowledge, but he's not the... Nedry is the guy. And I love Jackson's line, hold on to your butts. He always says that. And speaking of Nedry, I noticed that this is the first time I understood what it meant. On his computer, there's a photo of Oppenheimer.
Yes!
And I was like... Yeah, of course. I mean, it makes sense because I think that's a reference. Hammond is sort of, I guess, the Oppenheimer here, right? He's unleashing this new technology into the world.
Which could go out of control.
So I was like, and I thought it was so weird, so surreal to kind of, because you have Jurassic Park 30th anniversary in theaters right now. And you have Oppenheimer in the theater right next to it. Right?
And then, like, I mean, after watching Oppenheimer and like when you're watching this, you're like, oh, now that makes sense, you know.
It makes sense, and it's relevant. It's still relevant today. Like all the stuff they talk about genetic engineering and the dangers of that. And Malcolm's whole speech about how, you know, he says that, oh, you didn't go through all the work, you didn't have the discipline.
You plagiarized the work and
stood on the shoulders of geniuses. Blah, blah, blah.
And you just did it without any responsibility.
And you patented it and you packaged it and it's on a plastic lunchbox. I remember those lines.
Actually that I feel even that reflects today. Because even like I like the scene in the meeting when they were talking about the park and then the investors. I think some representatives said, oh, we can charge a lot and we can I felt at that moment like if there was an actual Jurassic Park that came through, I think it'll be way more expensive than Disneyland. And I think that like exactly that's how the board meeting would go. Like where all these executives would be like, oh, we can charge more and maybe if we want we'll have a few coupons here and then just to like
And the funny thing is that every time a new Jurassic Park movie comes out, I see people online going, why are they doing it again? Because, haven't they learned from the mistakes of the previous park that it's always going to go out of control? Haven't they learned? But if you look at real life, no, they haven't learned.
They haven't learned. Like every company goes through this.
And for people who say it's stupid to make dinosaurs in real life, I'm sure if they could do it, they will do it.
Yeah, they will do it.
And they will monetize it.
Yeah.
And even if Jurassic Park, the movie exists, they're still gonna do it. Even though this shows that it's gonna go bad.
I have a feeling someone like Elon Musk could invest a lot of money into it.
They could do it. They will do it.
Yeah, they will do it.
That's how their thinking is.
Yeah.
Right? So it, and also like there's another thing where how it changes things, right? So for example, like when they first make the there's a scene early on where Alan Grant is at the dig site. And so they're using this radio thing to to kind of photograph what's underground. And he says something like they will say how with this new technology we don't even have to dig anymore. And he says, what's the fun in that? And I'm like, and that's sort of like AI, right? Like you have, AI now trying to get into like taking over jobs that are writing and
very repetitive.
No, I'm not talking about the repetitive stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that people actually want to do. Like writing and designing and art basically, right? It's replacing artists. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that? Exactly.
It's kind of like what they want to do, right?
It's like you're kind of taking the joy out of people.
And another thing was when they finally see the dinosaurs, right? Where Alan Grant says, "I think I'm out of a job now." And what I like about that is that that kind of reflects a real world thing. And also, I don't know if you know this, but in the production of the movie, they were going to use Go Motion. They didn't know you can do this with CGI. So they're going to use Go Motion, and they had this guy, Phil Tippett. He's the dinosaur expert. Everybody blames him for the dinosaurs going out of control. Right? He's that guy. So that's what it really means. Dinosaur expert means he was the motion guy, right? And so he thought when ILM came up with the CGI, he thought he's out of a job now. He's like, oh shit, there goes our whole thing, right? But then what happened was ILM still needed people to show them how the animation works. So they still use the Go Motion, stop motion technology to make the animation. So those people who did that job, they trained
the new guys
to work with ILM. So they sort of, I kind of see it as they evolved. Because and even Alan Grant at one point says, "Okay, what are you gonna do now?" Like, we have to evolve. I guess we have to evolve. Like, I thought it's so beautiful, because it reflects the real life in so many ways, and that's why I think this movie is so good, right? It's not just a thing with special effects and dinosaurs running around. It's still like the themes
and
of it.
Also, I like that this film is being made in a way where you feel like you're going on an adventure. Like from the scene where they pick up from the helicopter when they're landing in, you also feel like, oh, you've also landed. And then they get onto the trucks and the jeeps, and then they go through the gate, and that's when the theme song opens in. Like that the gate is still like the one thing that is like still stuck in my head, like when it opens up.
And then Malcolm is like, what do they have in there, King Kong? And I think that was probably a reference to Spielberg being a fan of King Kong. And he was, I guess he was such a fan that in the second movie they bring the T-Rex to the mainland, sort of like King Kong, right? I'm pretty sure that's why that scene exists. Oh man.
Like I feel like today watching this, I feel like there are still things that resonate in the movie even today, like especially the board meeting of how all these executives are like, oh, we can charge more, we can do this and that, and also like like since you brought up the point that people are asking, oh, why are we making these movies? I too was also one of those people. But now watching this movie, I understand because they need money, and second thing is like every company goes through this cycle of thing where one ownership goes from one person to another, or maybe from one group to another, and it's like it's evolving. It's like a machine itself. It keeps on turning. Like no matter who you are, it keeps on turning. So.
That's true. and then like how at first, the lawyer guy is the guy who's skeptical about the whole thing.
He's like...
And Alan Grant and Ellie are supposed to come...
Because in the film, right? Like, there's a scene where he goes to this mine, and then... Can you remember?
He goes to the amber mine.
Amber mine, and then he's talking about the investors are interested.
They are worried because the attack happens in the beginning of the movie. Somebody died.
And we are here to investigate. And I think that, like, usually when it comes to like those kind of representatives, they usually would come and say, oh, this is not efficient, this is not very profitable, let's change this, let's change that. Like, so he came in that perspective, and now he's like, oh, we can make money out of this. Like, this is great.
and I like how Hammond is like, you're supposed to come here and defend the thing, but now the only one on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
Blood-sucking lawyer. Yeah, because even the what was the lady's name? Man,
Ellie, Dr. Sattler.
Yeah, because she's like, even the plants you have grown, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And like, it could kill anyone. Because they don't know which century they're in.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, when you bring something old into the future, like, they are totally clueless, like, of what is like around them. So then eventually, like, any living thing, when you bring it back into the new world, I mean, evolution-wise, they become way more toxic and, way more defensive.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't know where it is. Like, it's a completely different, different kind of system, right?
Yeah. And also, interestingly, Jeff Goldblum says this speech, right?
Yeah.
God creates man, man creates dinosaur, dinosaur eats man. And then she says, woman rules the world. But, interestingly, there is even Jeff Goldblum's character says, right, there's a reason why dinosaurs were killed.
Yeah.
It was not selective, it was natural.
It was natural,
But what you're doing is selective, and this could, blow off the roof.
You can't control it like that. That's what he says.
Yeah. He was like that funny and the most like logical person.
Yeah, he's. I mean, in the book, he's sort of described as like a mathematician, but also like a rock star.
Yeah, rock star.
That's why he's dressed like that, all leather, and he looks cool and all that. And he's always hitting on Sattler. And like a moment where he realizes that she's with Grant, and he apologized.
I should watch the other movies too after. After watching
2
this.
and 3,
Man.
He's in the second one.
Okay. Because I watched this a long time ago when I was a kid, so I like forgotten most of the plot. But I remember I think I had the book. I had a Jurassic Park book where it had like the scenes from the movie and they like tell you the story.
Oh,
you can remember back in the day, like
a picture book.
A picture book kind of thing. So back in the day, like for films like these, they would have books.
Right.
So like for kids, so they can read and then like understand of what's going on. So I had one.
I remember I had like Jurassic Park coloring books.
Oh yeah.
There was a lot of merch back in the day.
Yeah.
Dinosaur toys sold like crazy back then.
I think because of that movie, this whole like dinosaur hype thing kind of came up. And like, I think everyone got intrigued by dinosaurs because unless you were like part of a faculty of science or whatnot, you would know, okay, there were dinosaurs. And you would be like really interested. But I think this film kind of brought that kind of subject
more about it.
Mainstream, right? Because even like T-Rex, even today when you say T-Rex, everyone goes, oh, it's
the thing. It's the thing in Jurassic Park. Everyone remembers that.
And also I still remember the scene where the chase scene with the T-Rex when
Malcolm in the back.
Yeah, Malcolm in the back. Like, go.
Must go faster. And I love how even when he's injured, he has so many funny lines. Like
and he's so cool. Like
he's so cool.
When he has his pose, right? Like
oh, you mean that scene where epic. The Spielberg does this really kind of cool camera push in on Goldblum being just shirtless on like this.
And he's like this art piece, and he's like while his leg is like injured, he's like saying that like he's like some art piece.
And I like how even when they first pick him up, he's just there, and Sattler and I think it was Muldoon come to rescue him, and they're like, should we risk moving him? And then they hear something like the T-Rex far away, like, yes, please risk it. Yes, so many good lines. And I think my favorite part is when Hammond is leading Ellie on the radio. And then he brings his map.
The blueprint.
And he puts it on top of Malcolm's leg. And you can see Malcolm he's in so much pain.
Where he's like, are you kidding me?
And then he's Hammond is giving the wrong directions on the radio.
And then Malcolm picks it and is like, look, just follow the black pipes and then you'll lead.
There's so much going on. It's not the main thing that's happening, but it's still like even those tiny moments are entertaining.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's something very intense going on over here, but then over here there's a bit of comedy.
Comedy also, and then there's a little bit of horror into it too. You know.
Because around that scene is where like Sattler is going into that maintenance area, and then there's a raptor in there, and then you have
Samuel L. Jackson's hand.
His hand pops out,
and you're like, oh, he's there, and then the hand is like, what?
That was such a good sequence, and then.
Well, the technology was also pretty crazy in Jurassic Park, right? In the car, they had the TVs and
they had touch screens and
stuff.
Like I think the craziest thing is when the girl is trying to activate the security system.
Yeah.
The folder organization, the folder is in 3D.
3D, it's like crazy.
I guess back then they thought that would be the future. Like 3D
because
graphics.
Like she's moving around like a lot. There's like a lot of effort.
It's like she's flying over the folders.
It's like
all the files and everything. I'm like, wow, that is so inconvenient. I'm so glad we have 2D desktop.
We didn't have the 3D isotropic kind of like, you know, icons that era is kind of gone.
I guess they thought that's what it, because you even see a bit of virtual reality. And then, you know, the DNA sequencing. It's so funny to watch that now. But the touchscreens are like a thing now.
The technology was pretty crazy back then. Like, I mean, now we have VR technology and it's kind of upcoming at the moment. I don't know if you're doing anything with DNA, but
I mean, people are using it for like
games,
teaching and stuff. So I guess you can visualize stuff in VR.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes sense. That's probably what they were doing. But it was probably not practical back then.
Yeah, it was not practical back then. I think back then, I think Nintendo had like a
they had like a thing, but I don't think anybody liked it.
With the gloves, and like it had this whole other, like, it almost looked like you were like a Power Ranger when you have the thing. You know? But I mean, what else? Because even the hacking scene was kind of interesting, right?
The hacking, Nedry's hacking.
Yeah. Because it's like for 18 minutes.
I do like that scene where, you know, Sam Jackson's character sits down at his workstation and is like, what's all this stuff?
And he like pushes it away.
Like such a dirty workstation, and he pushes it away, and then Nedry's King comes up and he's like, I'm tired of this hacker crap or something. Right?
But then, like, interestingly, they have all this. You know, I feel the system, in my opinion, isn't really that safe.
No, but I think that's another thing the movie is trying to tell you, right?
Yeah.
Because what they have done there...
Yeah. Because the telephone lines are all connected into like a central system.
What they wanted to do was control the entire park from one control room.
Yeah.
That one location. So that is, I mean, so it's what it's telling you is that another real world thing is that automation has its downsides.
Yes.
If you put connect everything to one location, and if anything goes wrong,
it spreads. Yeah.
So it's a problem with that's the downside of like connecting everything, and nothing is redundant.
Yeah.
Nothing is like sort of you know. If there's like a single point of failure at the main location, it's a big problem. And I think the other thing it's telling you is pay your employees.
Yeah, well, properly.
Because Hammond talks a lot about spared no expense, blah blah blah, at every turn, but he doesn't pay Nedry.
And also he says in the theme, right? He's like, oh, but the real miracle workers are the scientists.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, okay, like that's like every CEO speech, right? They're like, oh, the real miracle workers are them, but then you don't really pay them.
And he doesn't pay Nedry enough, which is why he betrays them. So, I mean... and then, I mean, he's basically selling it to another company.
Yeah.
What's his name? Dodson. We got Dodson here. Yeah. Did you know that Dodson is in Dominion?
Oh.
So he's like, they bring him back as sort of like the main villain.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. Are you talking
It's not the same actor.
Okay, wait.
Not Nedry.
Okay.
Dodson is the guy from the other company that Nedry is meeting.
Oh.
he's having lunch.
Oh, you mean
and the guy who gives him the shaving cream?
Yeah. Oh, so he's coming
That's
back
Dodson.
as a... Okay.
It's not the same actor, it's a different actor, but apparently that was him in the new movie.
Okay, so wait, could you like... I'm sorry if I'm spoiling Dominion for anyone who's listening.
I don't think you can spoil that movie.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I haven't watched it.
Yeah,
but what's the whole like point of that film? What was the whole plot? If you could give me a plot synopsis.
Like so one of the things is that dinosaurs have sort of escaped into the world.
Oh, okay.
They are all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And this Dodson guy has like a facility now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the technology also has gotten out. The DNA, everything has gotten out. Technology has gotten out.
So the patent is no longer...
It's not with InGen anymore. It has completely gotten out of control. So there's dinosaurs living in forests and places around the world.
Okay.
And I think
what they have done is... it has become very mainstream.
Sort of. And they have also built like a preserve kind of a place to bring them in and put them there.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, and but the problem is that there are other issues because people are now starting to misuse the genetic technology. So there's like a kind of like a low-cost swarm kind of a thing.
Okay.
Which is bizarre because it should be a movie about dinosaurs, but there's this locust thing.
You know,
but I think that's
Dodson
is behind that. I think.
Okay.
He's done something to like. He's up to no good.
You know, there's actual locust swarms in like.
So they are trying to say, genetic technology has been misused. There's this thing that's causing a threat to people. Yeah. They are killing plants and all that sort of thing. So that is happening as well.
Yeah.
And I think from what I remember, because I've only watched this once, I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Malcolm. Sattler and Grant are sort of investigating this whole locust thing. Mm-hmm. They're trying to figure out what caused it.
Why is there this uprise of like locusts?
Yeah, and they're trying to see if it's connected to these Dodsons. Yeah, his dodgy stuff.
So how do they actually know it's this guy who's behind all of it? Do they find out?
I think they're following it. They're checking the genetic whatever.
So are they doing
evidence that it's like an investigation.
So these three. Like, okay, we had Malcolm, we have
Grant and
Sattler. So they know, so they are in this world where the dinosaurs have gone out of control.
Yeah.
Aren't they doing anything about it?
No. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember what.
Because like we know at the end of the film when they walk out, they like because when they walk in, there was a sense of optimism and there was
it getting out of control was not like a choice.
Okay. It just happened.
Because in the second movie they steal the technology.
Okay. Because I remember the first one they were trying to make a weapon out of these dinosaurs.
Yeah, they were doing that. That was one part of it. Yeah. And in the second Jurassic World, there are people who are trying to go and capture the dinosaurs and sell them for the DNA and all that. So
like a black market sort of thing.
Yeah, black market sort of thing. It's illegal, and so they can
weaponize it
and all of these other things that they want to do with it.
Yeah.
So in the second one, it sort of goes out. I did like Jurassic World 1 and 2, but even for me, Dominion was just. I don't know what the hell that was.
Thank God I didn't go for that, right?
You didn't need to see it.
That's why I asked you.
It was
just to give me a plot.
Such a weird experience.
So they were just trying to investigate a locust swarm while all these dinosaurs are running around crazy. That's basically.
Something like that. No, because the locust swarm is actually. It's causing problems.
Yeah, there's like livestock shortage and
it's attacking things,
farming.
It's out of control kind of a thing.
Okay. So basically, what happens at the end? They find out what's going on. Do they do anything
to
about
this place where this preserve kind of place that Dodson has? Yeah. And then Chris Pratt and those characters are also. They're also there. Okay. See, that's the thing, right? You have
So even Chris Pratt doesn't do anything about the dinosaurs.
He's up to something else. He's trying to save. Is he trying to say Blue? I can't remember what he was trying to do. They're there for
he was like a ranger, right? In Jurassic.
He was like an animal wrangler.
Yeah. He was kind of
I forget why he's there. Him and Claire and those characters they also show up. And I feel like it was just a big kind of excuse to bring back Malcolm and because they know they're the fan favorites, right? For nostalgia's sake, they brought back Alan Grant and all these people. they didn't need to be there. They're just like, the only person that's actually funny is Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, and that's only because it's Jeff Goldblum. And he's sort of the whole time, he's sort of like, why am I here kind of thing going on. He doesn't understand why he's there.
Like, why the hell am I here?
So it's a very messy movie, you know. And I think watching that double feature, watching the first Jurassic Park and watching the latest Jurassic Park at the time, Dominion.
Does it make sense?
It made Dominion worse.
Oh, okay.
because first you watch Jurassic Park and you see how good Spielberg's filmmaking is.
Yes.
Right? Forget the story for a second. Yeah. Just like how
the
much
experience, right?
How much he shows from like a few simple camera moves. How simple it is, right? It's very efficient. Like he will do like, you know, like when the T-Rex is approaching, you hear the thump, and you see the water moving. It's just that, right? You don't get anybody explaining what that means.
You can feel it. You can feel it from the noise and from the visuals.
It's very clear, very simple. When you watch Dominion, it's a lot of exposition. People standing around explaining. They're talking about this locust swarm or whatever, and they're explaining this and that and that. I'm like, we don't need to know.
No, I mean, they could have just shown this form like coming into a farm and like all of a sudden.
I mean, they do show that. I mean, It's like there's so much explaining going on. I'm like, why are you like, you know, why do you have to say all of these
everything,
things?
right?
And it's very long. Right?
I hate that in movies, like when they try to over-explain things.
Yeah, and
like why?
And the first Jurassic Park, it's like a 2-hour movie. It's sharp, pretty much exactly 2 hours, right? And this one is like 2.5 hours. I'm like, why is it going on and on and on?
About a swarm.
The last half an hour, I'm like, why are you still going on?
So the locusts are bugs, right? They're the insects, am I correct? Like, so wait, what? So like, it's Jurassic World Dominion, but the main point is about a swarm?
It's genetic technology. It's issues of genetic technology.
Because I was thinking
but that feels so weird. That feels like a completely different movie.
Because when you watch the trailer, I watched the trailer, I remember watching the trailer and I was like, okay, now it's about the dinosaurs have gone out of control, they're eating up people, and all of a sudden the UN is like, okay, we're going to put a nuclear bomb, and it's going to like...
That part is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? Dinosaurs in the real world is cool. Show that. That's what I thought it was going to be.
I thought the same. I thought that, okay, all of a sudden now UN is going to be like, oh, this is out of control. Now we need to throw off like nuclear bombs and like, you know, and then
we
like
need to hunt them down or something.
And we have to like, I thought they were going to hunt them, hunt the dinosaurs down and like stop
and
it.
then
Like,
the people who actually do care about them probably don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So there's a real kind of a real argument there, right? Then the swarm thing kind of feels, I mean, it could have been a swarm of some kind of dinosaur related thing.
Yeah.
But it's these insects which are like... Anyway, let's not talk about that movie. Let's get back to Jurassic Park.
I want to bring something up. Because I thought in that movie, from after watching the trailer, I thought maybe they would touch something on climate change where a really extinct dinosaur comes back to life. Maybe it was like stuck in a glacier or something. Oh, right. And because of climate change, it comes back, and then, you know, some sort of like... Look, I was like thinking maybe they could have even gone to that kind of, that kind of avenue if they really want.
They did have this really cool, like this dinosaur that looked like a bird. It's like a giant bird. It's like the freakiest thing ever.
Okay, is it like huge wings?
It had like weird claw, like these long claws, and it's the creepiest thing I've ever seen, right? It's like a giant ostrich, but like bigger and more dinosaur-like. And it's sort of blind, right?
Okay.
So there's this scene where the Bryce Dallas Howard's character is being hunted by this thing. And I'm like, whoa, if that was the main creature of the movie that was chasing them throughout, this movie would be awesome. Because that thing was creepy as hell. And then she has to like go into this swamp underwater and and this thing is like right there above the water. It's like the most intense scene. I'm like, oh, I hope that thing comes back. And it comes back for like 2 minutes at the end.
What?
I'm like, why? That should be the main thing.
God, I didn't watch this.
Because
film.
it was
I'm happy
because
I
that
this
scene
movie.
That scene was as intense as like, you know, the raptor scene in the first movie. It was like, because this thing
even
was
the
so
T-Rex
creepy.
scene
Even the T-Rex scene, because this bird thing was so creepy.
Okay.
And it's probably creepier because it looks like a bird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's even creepier than a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And also we know that dinosaurs turn into birds, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it was just like
Alan's character clearly explains that.
It was so weird. Like I'm like, what the hell is this thing, right? I want to see this creature.
Yeah.
And too bad.
Because I thought Dominion may touch on the climate change thing because it kind of makes sense, but then they instead went on this other whole thing. But honestly, though, I felt like the first film. I mean, do you think that it deserved a sequel? Do you think that Jurassic?
There is a second book.
Oh, okay.
Michael Crichton, who wrote the first book, wrote the second book. So
Okay.
there was a sequel.
There was a sequel.
There was a sequel. I'm not sure if... I don't remember if the book came out... The second book came out before the movie or not. I'm not 100% sure. But obviously the first movie was based on the book.
But my question is this. Do you think the sequel, the movies were based off the second book, or was it
It's partly based on it.
Partly
Based on it.
Okay.
Not completely.
Because I'll be very
even the first movie is not 100% accurate to the book. There are many changes.
Okay.
One big thing was... I actually want to talk about this. Good thing we came back to the book. Because Hammond's character. Now, Hammond in the movie... Actually, he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's actually, he really wants to show this to the world and show this to the kids. And he talks about how even the poor kids should be able to come here and watch this. He actually honestly believes that, right? It's the lawyer who wants to
who wants to make it,
So he seems like a nice guy. And then there's that scene where he explains why he did it when they're eating ice cream.
Yeah.
Where he says he was in the flea circus and he did because I think they had like sort of animatronic kind of puppets and stuff, right? And he said that you could see it was fake, right?
Yeah.
But he wanted to create something that wasn't fake, that was not an illusion. So he says, I mean, that you really feel like I can see that why this guy is like that. But then later on when Ellie says, but the control part of it was an illusion, and that stuff doesn't matter now. We have to find out the people that we love and make sure they're safe. And then he actually helps.
The
end of the movie, he helps out,
and he realizes the mistake he made.
And that's why in the second movie he wants to kind of keep it closed because there's another island where they were creating in the second movie, right? The Lost World, because they actually that's the plot of the second one where the dinosaurs were created on a different island and they bring them to the park. So he wants to keep it safe and make sure nobody goes there. So he's a bit better now, right? So he's a nice character. But in the book, he's sort of like the lawyer guy.
He's like a total.
He wants the money.
Suit.
He wants the money, and he doesn't care about the people. And he.
So he's like these circus owners kind of people, like these circus, what do you call them, masters or whatnot. Like,
he's like
Bob
Iger from Disney or something.
Yeah, Bob Iger from Disney.
David Zaslav.
David Zaslav.
So he's like that guy, and I think even some of the dialogue that the lawyer says that we can charge them as much as we want. That's a line from Hammond in the book.
Oh, okay.
So, and actually in the book, the lawyer isn't this bad. The lawyer actually doesn't die in the book.
Oh, okay.
The lawyer survives. He's not as bad. They have changed it around a bit. They have made Hammond a bit more likable. And put that to the lawyer.
No, because if you did it directly from the book, I don't think it would have worked.
And also I feel a lot of scenes are better in the movie. I think this is one of those cases where the movie is better
than the book.
And Crichton was involved in the screenplay, so he didn't just write the book. He wrote. He was involved with the movie. He was because the screenplay is credited to was it David Koepp. That guy and Michael Crichton, so he's involved. So I think the movie is much better.
So is the ending also different? Because here's the thing, I have not read the book.
Well, I mean, Alan Grant, Sattler, the kids, they survive. Hammond is killed.
Okay, the CEO is killed.
Hammond is actually killed off by the compies, the tiny ones.
Oh yeah.
So there's a scene in the second movie where Peter Stormare's character gets killed by the small ones.
Yeah.
So that actually happens to Hammond in the first one.
Oh, okay.
So he gets killed. He falls down like...
okay.
Yeah, he falls down like a hill,
yeah.
and they surround him and they kill him.
Okay.
So he is killed off.
Okay.
The lawyer doesn't die. Malcolm is heavily injured. And actually Malcolm isn't there much in the book. After he gets injured, he's pretty much out.
Oh, okay. He just does he go back home?
And the book ends with sort of like, it's not clear if he survived, but then he's in the second book.
Oh, okay.
So I think maybe Crichton may have killed him off.
Yeah.
Sort of, but then for the second one, he was like, oh, I need somebody to come back.
And they brought him back.
So then they say, they have a news reports that he was killed, but he's still alive.
Oh, okay.
So I think he killed him off, but then maybe because Goldblum was such a hit,
they
were like,
no,
we gotta bring this character back.
Yeah.
But Goldblum plays it much better. I mean, he's much more likable. But in the book, he does go off on these chaos theory rants.
Okay. that the butterfly effect.
Yeah. And what I like about the book is that Crichton goes into so much detail on the genetic technology and supercomputers and evolution and chaos theory and all this stuff, and it kind of makes it more believable. He puts so much detail, like you're not sure which part is real and which part is
fiction.
You're like, wow, it probably works.
What's fact and what's fiction?
You're like, okay, I believe that this can be done.
Work.
So it's pretty cool, like the amount of detail that he puts into this stuff. It's such a cool concept.
Because after watching the first film, I was like, I don't know, because the first film is so good that I don't feel like a sequel needs to be done. It's good because there's a proper beginning and there's a proper end, right? The ending is everyone gets on the helicopter. They are all traumatized. Who was the owner of the park?
Hammond.
Hammond
He regrets what he done.
He's traumatized. And like everyone else is like, this is we are out of here, and like we're never coming back. This is like a secret that we're never gonna tell to ourselves, like until we die, we're dying with it, sort of a thing.
But I mean, it made so much money. It was
made some makes sense.
It was I think the highest grossing movie
at that
time.
The
whole
I mean also the soundtrack, John Williams.
Yeah, John Williams.
It's still stuck in my head, like when the gates open and like
you get into the mood when that theme starts, right?
Yeah,
it's such a good soundtrack.
I think that's like I don't know. This is like my opinion. That is such a good adventure film.
Yeah.
Because
you're going to this place.
Because you feel like you're going to a theme park, and then also like Jurassic Park in the film, it feels like Disney Park in like many ways. Like with the rides and everyone getting on the jeeps and like you have this place where you can eat, you have buffet and whatnot, and the whole it feels like actual.
And actually,
park,
if you go to Universal Studios,
there
are areas which look like Jurassic Park. So they've built it like that. Like the dining area kind of
looks like
similar. Yeah. There are similar, and you have the John Williams theme playing like 24/7. So when you first walk in the first like half an hour, you're like, whoa. And then I'm like, oh, it's still playing. And actually, when you watch Jurassic World, right? Because the theme park works in that movie, right?
Yeah.
Then I'm sure they modeled it after Universal Studios.
Because there's a globe in
it looks so much like
because I remember I remember there in the middle of the park there's a globe
and with the tourists and everything it looks just like
you have the stores and you have the restaurants,
the merch and all that stuff. It's crazy.
But like if there was an actual Jurassic Park, would you go?
I'll probably go, man.
Yeah, I would, right? But here's the thing, though. I think if there was actual Jurassic Park, one of many things will happen, right? One, either like the most rich people would go there.
Yeah.
And true, there'll be like a lot of conspiracy theories about that place. Like on YouTube and all, they'll be like, oh, it's a place where all these rich people hang up with their culty behavior, and like there are dinosaurs in it too, and they like feed poor people into it, and there's this huge human trafficking thing.
Maybe we'll go on coupon day.
Coupon day.
And or they'll catch us and throw us.
Or like three, what will happen is like there'll be like so much like issues with like human resources, because people will get like employees will be eaten up by dinosaurs.
So many openings. That is sort of what they did with Jurassic World, right?
Yeah.
That's what I like about that movie, because they showed like, okay, the park is working now.
Yeah.
And now it's gotten all these
like bigger and
and how they're like the audience is not is not impressed by dinosaurs.
Yeah, the CEO's was it Imran Khan? He passed away
it was not. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
it was a Khan.
It was I
forgot his name.
He was in Life of Pi. He was like the CEO who's like taking helicopter lessons. I mean, that kind of made sense.
He's a crazy dude, right? Yeah, of course.
He wants to buy a park and he wants to make it bigger. You know,
What I love about is that they took that scientist guy, Dr. Wu, from the first movie, and they turned him into a Bond villain. He looks like a Bond villain in the new one.
Oh wait, are you talking about the Dominion or the Jurassic World?
In like he's in the first two Jurassic
World.
Right? The Dr. Wu character.
Dr. Yes.
He was just a scientist in the first
film.
Now he's like a Bond villain. The way he's dressed.
No, he was because in the first movie he was like a lab assistant kind of a thing.
No, he was the guy in charge.
He was
he was the main scientist. He was the head scientist.
Makes sense. Yeah. They decided to bring him back.
Oh yeah, that was so cool. Anyway, so this was such a fun experience, man. Like, I'm glad I went back to watch it, and I think it's still in theater. So you can, if you haven't gone, if you want to take your kids,
because thing is like I watched it on TV, and now watching it on a film hall, it feels different. Yeah, I loved it.
You have to see this in a theater, right?
But so you watched it. I mean, you watched the 30th anniversary release, right? I don't know, but did you notice any changes in color? Was it better?
I mean, they say this is the remaster.
Yeah.
But it may have been the same thing we watched last year. Right?
But it's much more clearer, is it?
I'm pretty sure the last year's one was the same.
Okay.
Because they probably did the remaster for like the 4K Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
Which was a few years ago. So this is probably from the same color grading, the same. So I'm sure like it's very difficult because it's difficult for me to tell the difference now because I have watched the 4K release and I watched the Dominion double feature last year. So it's probably the same version. I don't think there's a big difference from that. But there probably is minor differences from the original release. They probably cleaned up the colors a bit.
Yeah, because I noticed there was some color differences in certain scenes.
Maybe a bit more vibrant.
It was.
That's one of the things they do with these new remasters. They adjust the color grading a bit. So I mean, it looks great. It still looks great.
It still looks good.
And it's also in 3D, I think.
Really?
It's in 3D because I think because they did that 3D re-release 10 years ago, they still have that.
Like why though?
Because they still have it, and they can. And I'm sure that 3D is more expensive, so they can get more money from that.
Okay.
Just like the lawyer said, we can charge them
double.
We can charge them whatever we want, and people.
I was gonna go on a rant about like why I don't like 3D, but you know what? That's
a whole different.
That's a whole other episode where
it was the 3D re-release happened at the time when everything was coming out in 3D. Yes. This was after Avatar came out. A lot of movies were in 3D. And they were even re-releasing old movies in 3D. They had Titanic
in 3D.
They had The Phantom Menace came out in 3D. Everything came out.
So much other films.
This happened at that time.
Early 2010s.
You know what? Well, I mean, that's what happens when they realize they can make a quick buck. And they know people like us will go watch this.
You know what? There'll be an episode where you go on ranting about 3D, but that's for later. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, and please don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye-bye.